welcome to another Ride Along with Goggles tutorial. And this one's going to be on using the 10, 13, and 18 speed transmissions and what you do with the stick and how you get a good result and a good way. And I want to also, if you're not familiar with them and you're kind of struggling with it a bit, maybe not, the sequence of events and building the muscle memory you need to be able to do it successfully in the game. And bear in mind, if you can do this in the game, you can do it in real life because it's easier in real life. I keep saying, and I stand by that, because these things are harder to drive in the game than they are in real life, because you don't have any sensory input from the stick. It's just moving a, imaginary thing. In real life, you can tell if you're going early or late through the gate when you're shifting, because you're doing it. Well, I only know how to do it without the clutch. I have no idea how to drive one of these with the clutch. I just can't do it. I can do it with a gas engine just fine, but for some reason I hear the diesel engine, foot stays on the floor, left foot doesn't move. It's weird, but I don't know how to explain it. It's just ingrained in me, I guess, from all the miles I put on these things. So anyway, what we're going to do, we got a 10 speed in here, and the first thing we're going to do is real quick, just jump into the options and we'll show you where to set that 10 speed. So it's under controls. And we're doing the H shifter and all this. We've got it all set up already. We've got the 10 speed here. We're using advanced clutch or throttle. Let's just change that to throttle, because I don't use the clutch. So, and Eaton Fuller 10 speed right here, and we choose the 10. There's the 13 and 18. And we're gonna concentrate on these three transmissions. So let's get going. We've got a little 230 horsepower engine in here. It's real. Let's see, does it tell us here? We go diagnostics. Yeah, 230 horsepower, 975 foot-pounds of torque. So it's not much of an engine. So let's drive. And we'll get going here. Okay, we got everything off. We got an empty lowboy on here, and so for the 10 speed, oh yeah, wait, let's turn this off. For the 10 speed, we've got, we're in neutral. The splitter is irrelevant because you don't have a splitter with a 10 speed. You've only got the range, and depending on your shifter, if you got an SKRS, it's over here on the side of the vertical switch here, and the real Eaton Fuller, it's on the front. So it's down. We're in low range. You got two 5-speed transmissions. So I want you to think you're driving two 5-speeds. So there's your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and now you're going to bring your range up while you're still driving. It's not going to do anything. You can pre-select it, and then you're going to go from the fifth hole back to the first hole, which is now 6th gear. So we've gone from 5th to 6th. 7, 8, 9, 10. We want to go back down, shift down the gears. We get back to 6th. Then we're going to put this down, the range. We're going to go to 5th. Oops, 5th here. And now we're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverses there on all of them. Okay, so two 5-speeds. So we're going to start off. We're going to drive the lower 5-speed, go to the upper 5-speed, and see what we got to do on the hill. Probably going to have to downshift a time or two. We'll get to the top, we'll work our way back down through the gears, and I'll explain along the way about the RPM drop that you're going to notice between the transmissions. And the 10 speed takes a bit of a knack to downshift because you got to be really patient with it. And I drove one for years, and I owned one. And now that I've been doing all these 13 and 18 speeds in the game, I find I go back to the 10 speed. It's not second nature anymore. I've ingrained myself to the 18 speed. So anyway, let's try it out, see what we get. So first thing, first gear, and you can start off in second. Quite often, that's the way I always drove mine. I drove like a 9-speed. I never needed this. This is like low, but with only 230 horsepower and that float on the back of that low boy, we're going to use low, our first gear. So that's So you see we got a 500 RPM drop. You gotta wait 500 RPM on the tack before you get it into the next gear. Now here's where we go back to the first hole. Up on the range, back to first. Now we're in 6th gear. 7, 8. See how patient you gotta be to pull it through the gate, because the RPM has to drop. You don't have synchro mesh in the transmission. It's not like a car. So we're going to stand on it for a little while in 9th because, well, we don't have much power. Trying to get the RPM up a bit here, as if it was really a smaller engine. Now we're going to try, we'll go for 10th. Oh, all over the road, watching the tack. So we're going to howl around this corner and see what it does to the speed. So we're 1300 RPM, just under 1300. So what we're going to do, this is probably going to slow us down a little more right here. A corner and a bit of increase in the hill. Yeah, we're not making much impression on it. So let's go down a gear. So you go through neutral, you step on the throttle to get your 500 RPM above where you were, stab it into the gear. Here, we'll do it again here. So we're going 1500 RPM and I want to go down a gear. So I'm going to pull it into neutral. I got to stamp on the throttle till the RPM is 500 more than it is right now. And pull it into the gear. So it's kind of the opposite of shifting up where you wait 500. To gear down, you got to add 500. So if I geared down and I'm doing 2000 RPM, you'd have to hit 2500. So it's way too soon to gear down. So like I say, with this transmission, you have to be patient. So I'll show you. We'll gear down here when we get to the top, but let's go up a gear here. So throttle off, 500 RPM drop into that next gear. I'll keep going up here. We're at 9th, we're accelerating. It's pretty good for 230 horsepower, I'll tell you. Okay, we're getting near the top. It's time to slow down. So we gotta wait with a 10 speed. Wait, it's 1500. Maybe we'll wait to 14 or 13. There's 13. And we gear down. We bring it into neutral, hit the throttle, wait, here's about 13, we have to go to 18 to gear down, so. There, we geared down. Now we gotta come back here, down to the, 6th? Now we're in 6th. Now we're gonna put the range down, and we're gonna get down to where we can do a 500 RPM blip, and we're gonna go all the way over here to where 5th gear is. So now we're in 5th gear, we're in the low range now. Now you want to slow down some more? Yeah, wait, get the RPM down. Oh, missed that one. I didn't wait long enough. Yeah, I can't get the RPM up high enough. See that? That's 2nd. That's where that's the thing I gotta retrain myself to do. So you have to be patient with the 10 speed. So anyway, just to recap, no splitter, just the range, five gears in low range, and then you bring while you're in your 5th gear, before you do anything, remove the stick or anything, bring it up to high range, and then you go to the first gate again, first hole, put it in there, put that up, leave it up now, and you go through the next 5 gears. So that would be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then when you want to gear down, go down through the gears till you get all the way to that first hole, which is 6th gear. Now what you want to do, well, don't move the stick. Put the range down first. Then you go to your 5th. Now you're in 5th gear, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st gear. So that's a 10 speed. That's how that works. So what we're going to do I'm gonna, I'll pause here. I'm gonna go back to the shop in Pendleton, and I'm gonna put in a 13 speed, and then we'll go again with the 13. Okay, so I'm back in a little bit. Okay, so here we're back, and we've got the 13 speed now. So the way this is like a, it makes sense, I guess, that it's a combination between a 10 and a 18 speed. So the similarity to a 10 speed is you put it in low range and you've got 5 gears, or low, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you bring the range up 5, 6, 7, 8. But this one here, you can split them in the top. That's the difference between a, so you would have the ability to go through 5 gears without splitting. Then you would go to the third position on the stick. So that's where you would come next with the range up now. Now you're there. So you've gone, this is your, let's see, 6th gear now. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So what we did there was, and I'm just counting it off in my head, but I'll go a little slower now, is you did your 5 gears, no split, just like the 10 speed. You're in that 5th hole, and we don't really call it 5th in the 13 speed because this is low. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you bring this up. The range is up now, and we're still driving. We still got load on the transmission. Now we're going to let the throttle off. But now we're not going to let the RPM drop 500 RPM. We're going to drop it a little less. Yeah, I think it's like 300 or something. We'll see as we go. It's a feel thing for me. And anyway, we're going to go into, this is the old first hole. Now that becomes 5th gear because low, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is 5. But we've gone from low to high range. Now we've got, and now that we're in high range, we can start splitting the gears. So we go from 5, we go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, wait a minute, I counted that wrong. Sorry. We're in 5 here. Let's see, did I get that wrong? 5, then we bring it up. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, that's right. So we'll count them off when we go, okay? But anyway, regardless, you're splitting the gears in the upper transmission that we've shifted to, but only 4 of them. You never go back to the low range here, or low gear in high range. Never do that. There's nothing there for you. It's just 4 in the top. So you got a 5 in low range, you got a 4 speed in high range, and you're going to split these upper gears. So let's give it a go. We'll get all set here. So we're going to have in the 13 speed, make sure your splitter is back in low, because it doesn't do it. It won't matter when we're in this, but when we go into 6th gear, we're going to want to have that back. We don't want it forward because then we've gone too high a gear and we don't have the ability to split into the higher gear. We're already there. So you lose the advantage of the tighter gear ratios where you have more bites at the pie, you know, with more opportunities to shift with a smaller RPM gap between them, which gives you, you keep reapplying the mechanical advantage you get more incrementally as you pull the load. In an 18 speed, you have even more bites at the pie. Whereas with the 10 speed, it's like this great big jump in RPM, and you don't keep the engine in its optimal torque range as easily. Well, you can't, because you've got to make up that big 500 RPM, which is a whole lot of RPM for a diesel. It's okay for the gas engine. It's nothing. It's a blink of an eye, but in a diesel, that's 500 RPM is a lot of range change. So once again, let's just get going here. Oh, I saw the trailer brake on? Oh, I do. Yeah, we don't have Definitely don't have enough power to pull the trailer with the brakes on. Okay, here we go. Oh, I missed that one already. Yeah, this looks about 300, 350 RPM. Yeah, about 350 maybe. Now we're gonna go to the high range and go into the old second hole. So now we got a split here. So now we can push the splitter forward. Now we're gonna pull the splitter back. Then we're gonna pull the stick back. Breathe the throttle. Now our RPM drop is a lot less because we're splitting gears now. It's like, this looks about 200, 175 RPM. So now we're in 9th gear and we're gonna pull the range splitter back. Give her a little breathe of the throttle. And we pulled it back as we went from a high gear to a low gear. Now what we're gonna do is just see if we can, we're not gonna be able, we're not going fast enough to go up any more gears yet. So we're in 10th gear. About the same boat we were in before. The 10 speed, I had a 355 final drive, which was all I had available. And here we have a 365, which should be an advantage. That we're doing about the same performance as we did with the 10 speed. But bear in mind, we don't have any load on the back. We're gonna try and go up a half a gear here. That's what I call it, a half gear. So not much point in doing that, because we're just lugging the engine now. This is where the turbocharged engine, when you lug it like that, you make a lot of heat in the turbo. And that's why you have a pyrometer on some trucks. But we're making good progress here for, not much power in an empty trailer. So I want to get it up a few more gears so we can do some downshifting. Okay, we're in 11th gear now. We only got 2 more to go. So, we're going pretty fast here. So we're gonna pull the splitter back, go into the final stick position, the 5th hole, if you will. Now we're in 12th gear. Now we're gonna go to 13th gear here. Well, it's too soon. We only got 1200 RPM on the tack. We're not going to get any more. Okay, we're going to have to drive forever. So to gear down, you have a couple choices. You can do a split. So if we went from here to push it forward, then gear down, we're splitting on the way down, which I don't often do. But anyway, we can do it again. We just pull it back, breathe the throttle, and now we can put it in high again on the splitter. Bring the stick back down. Now we're in high in this gear, which is on the split. 9th, bring it back. 8th, push it forward. Next gear, whoops. 7th gear, bring it back. And we can't go back to this low gear like we did with the 10 speed. Now we got to put the range down, and we can. The splitter's no longer going to be effective because we're going into it's a 13 speed. In this lower 5 gears we've got no more splitting, so that's 5th. Oh, come on. 4th. 3, 2. Can't get it. Wow, look how low that is. Wow, no wonder we couldn't get it. It was too big a hurry. Anyway, we're going to go get an 18 speed, and I'll show you the difference and how that is similar to the 13 speed. No similarity to a 10 speed. So 13 speed's kind of living in both worlds. Just to recap, splitter back, non-effective, doesn't do anything. Range and low. 5 gears, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Range up, Splitter still back into that hole, which is, you know, your third gear position on here if you're thinking of a car. Put it in there. Now we've got sixth gear. Split forward is seventh gear. Bring it back here. Now you've got eighth gear, ninth gear. Bring it back. 10, 11 when you split forward, split back. 12, split forward. 13. So there's your 13 gears. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Range up, split back. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there we go. So I gotta go back, change the transmission, and change the time of day, and we'll be back and do the 18. Okay, now we're back with the 18 speed. So just to reiterate how this one goes, it's where it's similar to the 13 speed is you have the sort of same effect where this is now low in here with the splitter back, because in this bottom 5 positions we have the splitter now, which we didn't have in any of the previous transmissions. It was only available in the 13 and high range, and in the 10 speed never. So we're going to start off, if we are going to drive through all the gears, maybe pretty hard with an empty load, because like I found in real life, it's really hard to shift these lower gears unless you got a load on it. It's just the way it is. You can, of course, we're going to try it. I haven't done it. I don't know when I've tried driving a truck through all the gears with no load, but we'll see. We'll try it, see if it works. So here we are, 18 speeds. So let's go through the gears. So we got low, then we've got low, high. Then we pull that back, and we got 1 low, 1 high, 2 low, 2 high, 3 low, 3 high, 4 low, 4 high. Now we go to bring it up and into the higher range, bring the split back, and we go 5 low, high, 6 low, 6 high, 7 low, 7 high, 8 low, 8 high. And if you take 8 times 2, that's well, that's 16. Yeah, we didn't count these two, so that makes 18 gears. So if we counted the gears, like if you're going sequentially through them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bring this back, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. There's your 18 gears. And like I say, there's a whole, this is going to be nuts down here trying to split them, but we'll see what happens. Because I seldom, if I got a whole bunch of load on in the game, you might split when you're over here in low range. So you might go what we'll call 3 low right here, so split back. We're going to start off here pretty much all the time with an 18 speed, call it third gear, and then you hardly ever split that, and you go to we'll call fourth. Anyway, then you get here, fifth, and you might split here, and you pretty much always, 40,000 pounds and up, I would generally come up on the range, go here. Now it starts splitting in high range here. So like I've said before, I drive them a lot like it's a 13 speed, and use those lower splits if you need it. But anyway, let's see if we can make it go through all the gears. Might be easier with this really low powered engine. So I'm kind of nervous about this. I don't know why. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's see what we can do. Did it do anything? Oh, did I change the transmission? No. Sorry, let's just do that. Reiterate here how that goes. I didn't change the transmission. That's what happened there. 18 speed. That'll work. Sorry about that. Okay, start again. Yeah, okay. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, range up over to this hole, 11, 12, split back, 13, 14, and you notice that it's 150 RPM between gears, so the shifting goes way fast. You don't, there's no pausing or waiting. Well, I mean, there's whatever it takes. You can't go too fast or you'll bounce it off the gear and you won't get it in. You still have to have the timing, but so we're going slightly faster even despite shifting all those gears. Now we're in 16th gear. RPM's down about where we were lugging it before. Before we were only in about 10th gear here, 11th gear with both with the 13, obviously 10th or 9th with the 10 speed. We're doing okay. I want to get the RPM up. This is a nice thing right here. You're thinking, oh, I'm lugging the engine. Breathe it. And you're only going up 150 RPM. And that's nice. Instead of that great big RPM jump with a diesel that isn't great. So now we're going to go back up. We'll just split ahead and burp the throttle. Now we're in 16th gear. We're doing great. We're actually, so now we're going to go up another gear here, right about here. So we split her back and shift the gear. And we're going pretty quick for the road. Not bad for 230 horsepower. I think this is overrated. This, if it was really 230 horsepower in real life, I don't know if we'd be going so fast. And so as soon as we get over the top hill, we'll be able to put it in 18th, then we'll start downshifting. We'll get up over this little rise. Go for 18th gear. Here we should really push it forward into the high split and go down a slot and go to 16 because we're not accelerating right there. Now we're starting to accelerate as it flattens out. And now we're going to pull it back and go back into the final hole in low range, 17th gear again. And now we can go up, I think. Oh yeah, here, we're starting to go downhill a bit. 18th gear. Now to downshift like an 18 speed, you'd very seldom split because it's so many little gear increments. But if, you know, the only way I ever would do it is if I just want to slow down a little bit, but if I want to come to a stop, what I would do generally is I'm going to leave it in high on the split, and I'm going to give it 300 RPM burps to get it down. So we're going down 300 RPM at a time here. And now we're in our final upper range hole right there. Now we're going to bring the range down. We're going to go back into the fifth, or the, you know, the fifth gear slot if it was a car, or a 10 speed. Uh-oh, a little early on that one. And I'll show you why I leave that split forward Now, if I was coming up to a traffic light in town that had a bunch of weight on, and I'm going down, I got the Jake brake going and everything. We're not having to slow down. You know what? Let's, I wonder if I could turn around on the road right here. But let's just turn around and go back down the hill, and I'll show you what I mean about with the 18 speed and the gearing down thing. Let's jump. We'll just fly over to the other side of the road. We'll put ourselves down here. We'll head downhill, and I'll show you what I'm trying to explain. Probably easier than I can say it. And let's see if we can start off in third gear. Nope. This thing's a tower of power, I'll tell you. Okay, we're gonna put it into low. Oh, do I have a brake on? Why is it not, are we still pointing uphill? Is that what's wrong? Oh, we're uphill slightly. See how weak this thing is. So I'm not splitting these gears. I'm just going to drive it like a 13 right here. And now we're going to come out of low range. And I'm still in low on the splitter. And if I got a real big load on, like I would go, or not, sorry, if I don't have much of a load, like right here, I'm going to start splitting here with the stick back here. Now I'm going to start splitting because it's worth it. You're going to need it. If you have a light load, this is about time to start splitting with an 18. If you got a lot of weight on, you could even have been splitting in low range in the 5th hole back here or in the 6th. But anyway, as soon as we can get going downhill, I'll show you that downshifting thing and why I leave it in high range on the split when I start gearing down. We're in 17th gear. And if you're, now we're in high range, and if you're working in real hilly stuff, like, you know, Recon's East Glacier Road, and that dirt, and that high, or really steep, and you're in a position where you're climbing, if you keep your range in high, you've always got, so, I should explain this. The disadvantage you have is you're going uphill, you got a big load, and every time you move the stick and you're trying to shift it without the clutch, you got a chance that the truck is going to slow down so much that you miss the gear. And that's a real bummer. And then you're stuck in neutral and you got to come to a stop and get it into a gear. And in real life, it's deadly. So what you do is if you always have it in high, when you're getting into that tricky situation, you got a half gear without having to move the stick and go through the gate or use the clutch. If you use the clutch, you just pull it back. See, it just geared down. Now you got that power right there of that half gear. So that's the reason I like to leave it in a high split in rough situations. And I try and always be a gear lower than I think I'm gonna need, so you don't have to get into that shift situation. You might be going a little slower than you wanted to go, but you're gonna stay out of trouble, maybe. Okay, so let's go back up here, get a little speed. Okay, now get her into 18th gear here, and then we're gonna start slowing down again. We'll go all the way down on the downhill so we can show you that final gear down the leg. So I splitters forward. Give it a good healthy stab of throttle. You're needing 300 RPM gain. Another 300. Slowing down. And we're still in high range. And now we're going to bring it down to low range. Uh-oh, I was going too fast. There we go. So now we're in town here. Say this is you're coming up to the light and get down here to 6th gear. And if you're pulling a little bit of weight and you got that final stop, and so you go down to, this would be my last shift movement on a gearing down to come up to a light, would be into 4th gear. And see that? You got one more little, if you need it right at the end, going into a low range on this split, then that becomes 3rd gear. So I'll just show you that again. So you're rolling up to the light, you hear that little, and that's your final one, and that's usually where I just pull it into neutral and push on the brakes. So all of that time we haven't touched the clutch, except for when we took off at the top. And you don't need to use the clutch to stop. You just pull it out of gear. And that's the way I drive in real life. And then to start off, you put the clutch in and the rest of the trip, my left foot is just there to operate the dimmer switch on the floor, like in the old trucks anyway that I drove. So, with any luck, that kind of makes sense. So we just quickly from the top, 10 speed is range only. So the splitter doesn't matter what you do with that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, range up, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Range down, or sorry, you shift back down, 9, 8, 7, 6. Put that down now, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the 13 speed was, splitter should be in the back position, even though it doesn't work in the lower range. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then the 18 speed was low, 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 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I counted that. I should have counted those as 1 and 2. That's 18th right there. Sorry about that. But anyway, that's it. I mean, it's fairly simple, but I think if you are trying to figure all of this out, I wouldn't go for the 18 speed right away. I would go for a 10 speed. And with the 10 speed, what you're going to be doing is learning to use the range and how to use it. Or if you want, go to a 13 speed where you don't have a split in the bottom. And because the advantage to the 13 speed, this is where, like, the difference between the 10 is when you're in 5th, range up and come over here. 10 speed's the only transmission you do that. A 9 speed, which I also owned, was like a 13 or 18 where you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, range up, and you go to this hole. 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a 9 speed. And that was a nice transmission, actually. I actually liked it. That was on a factory ordered truck I bought brand new. And that was really good. One less gear to shift and the engine had more power. I didn't miss that other gear. And that's a natural setup for driving a 13 speed because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into high range here and then split the rest of the way. And if you set up for a 13 speed, that's a nice segue into it. 18, but what you can do is with your 13, you can do the range, come here, and then just don't split it. If it's confusing, just drive it a few times, go around the block 10 times or something. Take a piece of road, turn the traffic off like this, and go up and down the hill a few times with just using the range and moving the stick. So going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, range up, 7, 8, 9, 10, and skip the splitting and just try that. and see how you do, and then start mixing the splitting in once you get comfortable with it, because the splitting can be confusing initially, and but run through the patterns in your head. Sit there like I'm sitting here and count through what you got going on, and try and before you can get the muscle memory, or you're not even thinking about it, you have to pattern your brain to do it. And as soon as your brain's got it figured out, then you can do it. Sooner or later you'll be doing it without thinking, and it'll muscle memory will take over. But you're not going to have the muscle memory, obviously, when you first start. You're going to have to build it, and so you have to think about it. So while you're having to think about it, run the pattern a bunch of times through your head, move the stick, move the buttons, and develop the thinking process where and count them up, count them down, and get used to what you're doing. And sooner or later it becomes second nature, and you don't even think about it anymore. You're doing it. Oh, I got to slow down, or I need this much. Then you'll split, or you won't split. You'll do what you need to do. It'll all just become second nature. So anyway, hopefully that helps. And if there's questions, please ask them. And if I've messed it up or you need a better way for me to explain it, say so. Because the problem is, I know how to do it, and I don't know how to teach. Like, I'm not a teacher. I'm just the dude doing his thing. So with any luck, it helps. And, we can leave it there. Anyway, guys, as always, appreciate you following along, and take care. Bye for now.